Hello everyone and welcome back to another adrenaline-fueled episode of Experience Kills. I'm your host Ben, and joining me on this journey today is Rob.
Hello Ben, I'm feeling the adrenaline vibe from yourself. I'm quite relaxed in my chair at the moment.
I'm revving up my engine, Rob. I'm revving it up, baby. I'm getting ready. for the start gate to drop and to unleash me onto the dirt track.
I tell you do sound Supercross about it.
That was genius. I hate you so much. So today on Experience Kills, we are looking at the very short titled Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game 4. And I guess you can't blame them for the mouthful of title, because you got to get that title sponsor in there, and you got to also mention that this is the 4th installment from Milestone in the Monster Energy Supercross official video game franchise. And I've played a few of these. I can't tell you exactly how many. I think I reviewed 3. I think I did. I didn't look back, but Milestone I do know quite well. These are the guys from Italy that focus on pretty much exclusively motorcycle-related video games. So they also do the Ride series and the MotoGP series. Specifically MotoGP, another very official product, and this is also an official product, and you have to kind of bear that in mind, because this is almost like a sim entry in what I would consider a pretty niche sport. I don't know anybody that follows Monster Energy Supercross games. I really don't. I mean, it's like, it always looks cool to me. It's dirt tracks, it's motorcycles going fast, hitting big air, all loads of them on the track at once. I think it's up to 22 bikes burning around these tracks, going over loads of different types of jumps and through different types of mud and stuff. And it's exciting and it's thrilling and it looks like a lot of fun. However, playing it is a bit different. I'm not going to say it's not fun, it certainly is, but it was certainly more of a challenge than I expected, because like I just said, I am not some kind of expert. I'm not going to pretend to be super familiar with the sport. And while I'm not super familiar with the sport, I do definitely appreciate the appeal of it. And I want to get into it and stuff and have to learn how to do it a little bit. So that's why I was kind of willing to take on this game and have a look at it. I love racing games. Big fan of the Forza series. I played MotoGP 20, we reviewed that as well, and had sort of similar issues, I'm not going to lie. So what I found with this game is that I suck. I suck so bad, Rob. It's embarrassing. And it did dawn on me after a little while, though. It wasn't entirely my fault. So first of all, the tutorial doesn't really go into much depth when it comes to explaining how to handle a Supercross motorcycle on a dirt track. It kind of just says things like brake, do drift, throw your rear out, do this. You do a quick go around a track, and it gives you these on-screen prompts, but it doesn't really ever tie them all together and actually tell you how to do it well. So here I am in the rookie season. I'm trying to get on board. I'm last place, mate, every single time. I'm last place consistently. I'm very, very, very bad. Now, something I didn't notice for quite a while is, while doing this, even though I was coming in last place, I was getting these experience points, leveling up, and that was great. And I was okay, I'm getting this point. I didn't really know what they were for. They didn't really show me the attribute screen, so I did a bit of digging and I found these attributes. So you can kind of give skill points to your rider to make him better at cornering, to give you better air control over the bike, and then in addition, you can upgrade your bike with the money you earn, this credit system as well. Okay. So I started doing that, and you know what? Now I have to say I've made progress. I'm not always last. I am still sometimes, but I'm now
second
more consistent. Yeah, that happens. But no, mid-pack, top 10. I started getting some decent finishes. So I think what it is with the game is that it's structured in a way in which it expects you to kind of be in the rear position, and then using the upgrades in the bike and the upgrades on the character as well, you're going to start moving up through the field at sort of the same rate as you approach the harder races, and you go through up to the pro season as well of the different series. Now, I would assume all of these different seasons and structures from rookie to pro and all of that reflect the real sport. I am not familiar enough with the sport to tell you about that. I really don't know. However, I actually still had a good time. Other than that initial frustration of always coming last, being unable to work out why I was, watching all these bikes just sail past me, basically. And I'm well, what am I doing differently? And there is nuances, like when to go onto the gas when you want to approach certain types of jumps, when you want to relax on the throttle, how to brake, when to brake into the corners. And there's all stuff that you do start to learn as you progress through the game. There is, I might add, as well as the kind of full career mode, a multiplayer suite that I have not been able to test purely because I'm playing this pre-release, and therefore there's nobody consistently to play with, so I've not been able to do that. In addition, there is a track editor which is fully featured, but I will admit I put my main focus of this has been looking at the core of the game, which is this career mode, and trying to get to grips with how to really ride these bikes and actually like take advantage of the game and have some fun with it. And while it's not like 100% for me, I do appreciate it. The game looks nice. I've been playing it predominantly on my Series S, but I've also checked it out on the X. HDR implementation is a bit iffy. Sometimes the darks and the visibility on the screen isn't the best, but it's the kind of thing that could get patched out. Character models though look nice. The mud effects are great. There is a rewind feature they've added into this game, but it's a weird kind of, you want to celebrate it, but it's a weird kind like middle ground between what you'd expect. You get a limited amount of rewinds, so you can get you start a race with 3, though I believe that's customizable, and then you kind of earn them by doing good stuff in the race. So if you use 3 in the first lap, you have to then earn subsequent rewind. So it's a case of sometimes judging, if you wipe out, do I want to rewind here, or am I in a position where I can still get back into the field and do all right? It'll reset you back on your bike and then progress and stuff. So it's a bit strange.
I must say, I quite like the sound of that, because with Forza, as kind of a direct rewind racer comparison, it's easy mode essentially playing it single player, because that corner didn't quite go so well, rewind. You can just endlessly redo to make sure you get the right racing line. So something like this, where it's like, you can redo stuff, but you can do it so many times before you actually have to start being good. It forces you to actually get good, because you don't have 3,000 chances at the same corner. So I quite like that idea. How in-depth is the bike customization? Obviously, Forza offers huge amounts of customization, like different parts and stuff. How in-depth is that for the bikes?
So for the bikes in your rider, it's fully featured, I'd say. It's very in-depth, with loads of official brands, loads of official kit, stuff that I'm sure to the fans of the Supercross series will be familiar, brands and all kinds of things that you would expect, manufacturers for the parts. Some customization of the bikes and the rider are limited depending on the series you're racing in. So if you're in like an official sponsored team, you won't be able to massively change the bike or your appearance, but then outside of that you will, and in multiplayer and stuff you can buy stuff and upgrades, and that really is important when you have that customization of the bike, to really take advantage of those upgrades on the bike. Especially I saw noticeable improvement like immediately when I upgraded my engine abilities and stuff like that, and my handling abilities with the different types of tires and stuff that you might have available. So there's absolutely loads in that, and I think this is a decent game. I don't think I think the interface is a bit iffy, a bit hard to understand sometimes. The career mode is kind of getting there to what you'd expect from like a AAA experience in a racing game. You do have some like training options and ways to get additional skill points and stuff other than just normal races. However, I did find the whole concept of upgrading your rider in a racing game kind of peculiar. It's not something I'd ever experienced done like that before. I'd understand the desire to bring in RPG-esque mechanics, but I also thought it weird that I can't handle a corner well because my cornering ability wasn't leveled up high enough. I think in a racing game I should be able to corner at the ability of the vehicle rather than the ability of the bike, or at least that's what I'm used to. It certainly took me some getting used to the idea of needing to level up like that to get better, to actually, even if I did a perfect lap, I'm still watching people pass me because I haven't potentially leveled up in the correct skill areas. I also found myself just generally in races more likely to restart the whole thing than even try and use the rewinds. I think having them limited actually meant I was far less likely to use them because they felt so kind of important. I'd hold on to them, like when you play in a first-person shooter and you don't use the rocket launcher because you think you're waiting to use it in that situation, that one situation you're going to really need it, and then you never use it, and it's just like, well, what was the point of having it then? I guess I should just use it. But that's possibly my hang-up. But I like these games. They've certainly developed and progressed through the years of release. You can tell Milestone are passionate about motorcycle experiences in a video game form. They put a lot of effort into these, and every year they do seem to get incrementally better and improve. I just found this one a little bit difficult with the onboarding, a little bit difficult to actually, for a novice like me, to get into that. But how is that different to any other representative sport video game. You know, if you
Yeah.
don't understand football, you're going to struggle with FIFA, and so on and so forth with Madden, NHL, NBA, and all the rest. So, you know, I can't really fault them for that. It's just my own ignorance holding me back a little bit. So I think if you're a fan of dirt-based motorcycle action and have the slightest understanding of how motorbikes work, which you could argue I do not, then you're probably going to have a bit more fun than I had with this. Though even then, as time progressed and I dug in, you know, in the 10th hour or whatever of the review of playing this, I was clicking with it more and more. So it's like a qualified recommendation, I suppose, from me on this one. Anything you wanted to know before I wrap this episode up, Rob?
I think you've touched most bases, to be honest. It's, you know, those customization elements that are important. You know, by the sounds of it, you can go to different specific teams as well, which I'm sure are all very in keeping with the sport and the current favourites, which sounds great as well. The track editor, I think, is a nice touch. I think that's something that wouldn't necessarily be needed, so that being in there is a nice inclusion. Yeah, I think very much, if you're into motorbiking games and Supercross, then get it. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So that's been another episode of Experience Kills. We were reviewing Monster Energy Supercross, the official video game number 4 from Milestone. It just rolls off the tongue.
It really does.
Really does, really easy. You can find me at DIYE on Twitter for all the hate mail you want to send about how I shouldn't be reviewing a motorcycle game if I don't understand motorcycle sports, which would probably be fair. You can find Rob at Homeless Mr. Gibbs. If you want to send him some hate mail as well, I'm sure he'd appreciate that too. You can find us collectively at Experience Kills.
Wow.
Well, I just thought you wanted to be included. You know, that was all. You can find us at Experience Kills on Twitter. Please give us a like and subscribe on the video and hit the notification icon. Do remember we have a huge weekly podcast that comes out, funnily enough, weekly, and we'd love you to check that out as well, where me, Rob, and a rotating third chair often discuss the latest news and games and stuff, and that's certainly a lot of fun. And you can check out these videos in audio form anywhere a good podcast can be found. Is that enough things to touch on at the end of this episode? I think I've covered
I think it is, yes.
Okay, so until next time, have a lovely one. We'll see you all soon.